Hey guys, we've got Dark Visions number 22 on the global server. These are the day one bosses, and day one bosses are fairly simple, but the damage cap on these is higher than normal. So for these lower two, the bottom left and the middle right, the damage cap on those stages are 3.86 billion. And then for the middle left and the top left over here, the damage cap is 8.1 billion. Now, it's not really hard to hit that damage cap, but if you're used to like a turn one OTK with an off element, evoker like Terra or something, they're probably not going to work so well for OTKing these on turn one. But with a powerful team, you can still OTK it on turn one, perfect score. But we're going to be going for like a little bit of an easier clear. So we're going to start with the Spirit boss, weak to water or dark. And we're just going to have Kaito carry it with Riser. Riser is just going to be chaining with the Hayo card. And then we're going to break with Venera. And we're going to use Gilgamesh for a few of these bosses to just Omni cover and make turn one completely brainless. You don't need Gilgamesh, you don't need Omni cover, but I didn't look up what these bosses do, so I'm just going to use a evasion, 100 resist all Gilgamesh to Omni cover. So whatever the boss does, we don't care. Alright, so Kaito is going to autocast a bunch. We're going to use his Magnus, we're going to use Swelling for Fairy Killer, and we're going to use Mana Few Words for a nice buff. Let's see, Venera is going to just hit the boss twice just to deal weakness damage, and Marauder's Blade for a 90 break. Gilgamesh will hit the boss. We'll do Genji Blade for weakness damage, and we'll use Omni Cover, which is his Magnus skill. And then Riser can just like punch the boss for weakness damage. That's kind of the problem you might run into if using a small team, is you don't have the weakness score handled. But we attacked on turn one. Alright, so now Gilgamesh will just use Claw of the Dragon, that's Extreme Nova. Venera, Lightning Bolt Barrage, Extreme Nova. Riser is going to use the Hayo card, Extreme Nova. And we're going to use the base form of Kaito, which is actually, I'm just realizing, that is Bolting Strike, not Extreme Nova. So actually, we're going to do Bolting Strike on Gilgamesh. I totally forgot that that was different frames. But whatever, here we go. It's fine. So there is our damage cap. Okay, perfect. Yeah, Kaito's shift form is Extreme Nova. So we needed 3.8. We did 8.3 with 4 units. So here's the basics of the team. I'll show you the gear in a second. But yeah, 2 empty party slots. Add in 2 finishers if you're not hitting the damage cap. And there you go. So, Riser with the Hayo card, just change it up a little bit. And then, Kaito carries it for the most part. And there it is, perfect score on that boss. And I'll show you the gear and all that. But again, just take whatever you want. These bosses are relatively simple. So actually, I never did an attack buff on Riser either. As you can see, I kind of threw this team together, like, on the fly. I didn't really plan it out or anything. But whatever. He's just using some Fairy Killer double hand katana build versus fairies. And he's chaining with the Blazing Red Flash, mostly just for the chain count score. And he's maxed on Fairy Killer. Gilgamesh in the shift form is using 100 evasion, 100 to all resist, status immunity, passive provoke. That's just like a 1 unit catch-all build. He's using Eye of the Dragon to Extreme Nova chain, but I forgot that your boy Kaito doesn't chain Extreme Nova in the base form. He does in the shift form. Anyway, yeah, just an evasion Gilgamesh. He Omni covers just so turn one we don't got to worry about it. And, whatever. Venera is just a 90 breaker, so just, whatever, and Extreme Nova, and there it is. And then Kaito was the one that carried that one. 9,000 attack power, maxed LB, maxed Fairy Killer. And yes, I went very deep on Kaito's gear, nothing held back, all in for the Kaito. But we did have 2 party slots empty, so if you can't build, a crazy powerful Kaito, add 2 extra party slots and you're good to go. Let's go to the next fight. See you in a second. Alright guys, next up is the Ice and Thunder stage. This one is a demon. And we're going to be going basically the same thing. So this one is also a 3.8 billion cap. So the only differences here are that we swapped out Kaito for Esther because Thunder Team And we're going to be using, we swapped out the katana on, what's your guy's name? Riser for a great sword. So we're going to use, let's see, Esther will triple. We're going to imbue and then hit the boss. And, whoops. We're going to True Storm, Energizing, and Calm Before the Storm. Let's see. Riser is going to triple hit the boss because we need weakness damage. And that'll deal weakness damage 3 times. Venera can just break. And Gilgamesh can, let's see, Imperil, cover, and then literally whatever. Okay. So we've done 3 weakness hits with Riser, and we're going to do 3 more with Venera, Riser, and Esther's LB. I gave Riser a thunder weapon, in case you're wondering. So we will just Extreme Nova. Once autocasting finishes, we will LB, and we will Hayo card. And that should be a 3.8 billion cap. If it's not, well, then I'll be really surprised. But I think it's going to be. So again, we didn't really do any buffs on Riser. He's really, oh geez, wow. Yeah, we did more than 3.8. Anyway, once again, you use the empty party slots to just fill in as you need. Hopefully I did that properly because the weakness damage is the biggest headache. Yeah, Riser's like support chaining, and then Esther is very strong. And there we go, so that was handled. I'll show you the gear again, but I mean, just, you know, gear the best you can if you can't copy it exactly. So Riser, only thing is with him, I gave him a 2-handed Thunder Greatsword that he benefits from the apparel. As you saw from the damage meter, Riser is not important here. And I swapped his killers to Demon Killer. He's maxed on Demon Killer. No change on Gilgamesh, exact same build. No change on Venera, exact same build. Esther, you know, all in. Greatsword, you know, flat stats, chain cap up, speed up, maxed Demon Killer, maxed LB. So there it was. And, okay, let's go to the next one. Alright guys, next up we're going to be getting to the slightly more challenging fights. This one is a Reaper, weak to wind and light. The damage cap is now 8.1 billion, so a little bit higher. It is weak to wind, which means we're going to use the new Chizuru for our damage dealer. So here's the party. Let's give it a go and see how we do. So we're going to go for a turn 2 clear again. Now this might be a little bit trickier because Chizuru does not have an LB buff in the base form. We're not bringing a buffer, but I think it'll probably be fine. I guess we're going to find out, aren't we? Alright, so Chizuru is going to autocast a bunch. Then we're going to Eastern Winds. We're going to Orochi Blade. And then we're going to do Focus Strength to do a big attack buff on the party. Let's see, Venera will just hit the boss twice and then break. Gilgamesh will hit the boss all in peril and Omni cover. And Riser can just punch. That should cover the weakness damages. Okay, so once again, whatever the boss does, we are Omni covering it with Gilgamesh. Looks like Dark Fire, Hellblaze, whatever. So maybe Dark and Fire damage, I don't really know, but it doesn't really matter. Anyway, let's, you know, hope and pray that we can damage cap here without having an LB buff on Chizuru. So Chizuru's going to shift and just do her LB immediately. And we're looking for 8.1 billion or better. I have a feeling that Chizuru is going to probably carry this pretty easily. But let's find out. 8.1 or better. If not, we can always add extra units. 8.6. So we did damage cap, but you know, a non-buff Chizuru didn't quite do that great. But we could have gone to turn 3, we could have added extra units, etc. The problem was she doesn't have an LB damage buff, meaning she did about half the damage she would normally, which is fine. So Riser did 4.1, and Chizuru did 4.4, and that was enough to damage cap. So if you are running short on damage, add extra units. You know, Esther, some finishers. You know who could have done amazing here, and I should have done it, is Sky. Sky with her intrinsic jump could have like done a ton of damage here. My god, I should have done that. Because the boss is even undead, which Sky is strong against. But we didn't use Sky, so whatever. So we were back to Katana build with Riser. Again, we're just chaining with the Undead Killer and the Hayo card. No change on Gilgamesh, no change on Venera. And then Shizuru in the base form, like basically irrelevant. Shift form is where it's at. You know, 10,700 attack power, maxed LB damage, maxed undead killer, and she did decent. But again, we didn't buff her LB damage during the fight, which was a little bit of a handicap because I'm trying to do these with 4 units, which may or may not be possible for the last boss. We're gonna find out in a second. See you in a moment. Alright guys, last up for the first day is the bird boss. It's a bird, weak to earth and fire, and in order to keep with the theme of turn 2 4-man party while still mixing up the DPS, we're going to be using Sylvie for earth support and dealing the damage with Frievia and Starlight Elena. So once again, the damage cap is 8.1 billion, and hopefully this does hit 8.1 billion. I didn't actually test it out, but we're going to find out. It should. It should. Elena is relatively strong, and we're using the card with Frievia. Alright, so we're going to use Sylvie to, let's see here, we're going to Earth support. To imperil Earth. What else are we going to do? We're going to offense, and we're going to do the better Earth imbue. Alright, Elena will just do, for this turn, we're going just going to punch the boss. We don't want to actually deal a ton of damage. We will do this, Coop, pressure and flick, or I'm sorry, and guard, pressure and flick. And then Gilgamesh will break, whoops, Gilgamesh will break all imperil and cover. Okay, there we go. Oh my god. Please stop. Too much damage. But it's okay. It's okay. So we're covering with Gilgamesh, all the usual. Looks like the boss does dark damage. Good to know. Breakga. Well, whatever it was, it didn't do anything. So that's great. So we're going to Extreme Nova. We're going to Vision Card. Elena will double Gemini and Nova. And we'll just triple bolting to support chain with our Sylvie. Go ahead and chain this up. We're looking for 8.1 billion or better. Let's see what we did here. Now, of course, we can add more DPS. We can go to a longer turn, etc. But 9.4. So there it is. Turn 2, perfect score, done. Not too bad. Not too bad. I will show the gear and all in just a second. So let's see here. So who carried that one? Okay, so Frievia 3.6 with the Hyo card, and Elena 5.8 with just, you know, doing things. But whatever, there it is. And, oh, I love this bug, don't you? Alright, well, we are rank 1. I'll show the gear in 1 second, but I will mention beforehand that the final bosses are probably going to be tricky to damage cap. So when Saturday rolls around, I might not have a video immediately, but if they turn out to be not a problem, I will have a video. Anyway, so the party that we have going on right here, Sylvie is just using her, you know, her sword, and that's pretty much it. Just support chainer and earth support. Gilgamesh build has never ever changed, literally. 100 resist, evasion, provoke, etc. with Eye of the Dragon. Frievia is using just, you know, attack power build versus birds, so maxed bird killer with the Hyo card so that she can deal damage, and then maxed bird killer. And then Starlight Elena is using a double hand build in the base form with her intrinsic. There's the stats, maxed bird killer, and let's see, bird killer. Yep, maxed bird killer, and she is a little bit low on double hand stats because I couldn't fit it, but as you saw, it didn't matter. Okay, so that was Dark Vision's day 1. Now, obviously, the teams I used were geared extremely well, but I left 2 party slots empty in every single team. So that way, if you don't have the level of damage gear that I have used, you know, bring extra damage dealers. Okay, see you on Saturday for the exciting fights.